So welcome to Coding Standards. So what is a coding standard? A coding standard is a set of guidelines that recommends a certain programming style, certain practice, way of setting up your methods. The weird part is, and you'll see this in the interview a little bit later on, this varies from job to job. So it's not always consistent. There's going to be some things that are consistent throughout of it, but not everything's perfectly consistent. What it's usually going to cover is some type of naming conventions with your variables, your functions, your class name. Well, everything that's named has some type of convention. How you do your white spaces, because remember Python can be different with spaces than C++. Indentation, bracket placement, squiggly braces. Python doesn't have squiggly braces. So all of these are usually what the coding standard covers. Now, why do we need coding standards? And again, I'm going to go back to the interview that's going to be at the very end of this playlist. But there's a lot of times where you have other people reading your code that's really wasn't meant always for you. And you're working with other people in a team, so you need to know, what was this person thinking when they coded this? You don't want that. That takes more time away from something else that you'd probably be rather doing. So that's why we have this type of, why do we need the coding standards? It's really to kind of get us through the massive amount of code that you're going to be eventually reading. So think about that as you're going through your code, that somebody else needs to read it. It's usually me or somebody else that's going to be grading it. So that's why we really need that. I'm putting some other things in there too. Less bugs, of course. You know, again, I'm dyslexic, so I have to be very careful. So the coding standards are really important to me. And when you're doing teamwork, again, like I said previously, was that you don't want to guess what your other teammates were doing. So please make sure that you have some good coding standards in your project that you're doing, but you're certainly having coding standards here in this class, and we'll go over them here a little.